LSC game, what your thoughts on the game changed a little bit from that night, or just still?
We didn't play well. I shared that with the guys at halftime that we weren't doing the things that I thought were necessary for us to be successful in the game. We tried to address and get to those in the second half. Again, I think some of the things that I think are going to really make us a good team, we got away from. And yeah, I do think it wasn't a penalty. I think that's been pretty clear, including the players' statement. I do think that we had a couple real shouts for penalties on Maya in the box. So I do think that can play into the result. But for me, at this point in the season, I'm also looking at our performances, and our performance on the day wasn't where we needed to be if we're going to be successful over the stretches of the season. So it's coming back to the training field and trying to clean some of those things up. I felt like the ball is sticking on people's feet too long instead of moving fast. I feel like we're trying to force the ball down the middle instead of getting our wide players involved in the game and getting our outside chains involved in the game. I just felt like everything was forced. I think some of that for us was the emotional side of being down in the game pretty quickly, then feeling like we have to do something rushed or different or special instead of just stick with the process. And then once we got it back, maybe we have there an opportunity to then settle the game and get back into our rhythm. Pretty quickly, then the penalty gets called and we're down again, and now we're back into a little bit of rushing things and trying to force some things. And against a team that is so strong in the counterattack as they are, you can't force things and you can't turn over balls that turn into counterattacks against you, or you're going to spend a lot of energy trying to defend those moments. And I felt like that was a little bit of the day. And the field becomes very vertical, and they sat really low, which means that we can't be playing slow. We have to play fast, and we have to work in our relationships and partnerships on the field. So I felt like those things all kind of led to what was not a good enough performance, and ultimately a result which is also impacted by, in my opinion, a call. But also we need to create a better margin, and we need to do better for ourselves to help ourselves give ourselves a better position to be successful.
So how do you, as you go into Vancouver, different group, different team, expect them to sit in the low block? Is that something that you might see all over the league?
They could, but I think it all is going to depend on how the game goes. I think by giving up a goal in the first 3 or 4 minutes, we give them the green light to sit back in a very low block and protect something and then counter against us. If we can be maybe a little more patient, draw teams out if they sit back, then work through the spaces that they open up when they step out. We've got to learn to be more patient and then manipulate the space and the time and those things that we want to get to maybe a little better. Whereas, we were rushing it at times in that game. But I think we've got to do a better job of also defending set pieces, right? We've talked about that over it. We've got to win the near post space. We're losing that, which is causing us problems. But the context of the game can't affect our emotions and our decisions inside of the game as much as what I've seen in the last game. We've got to stay more calm and stick to the plan and stick to our roles and our positions and stick to the things that we're trying to do.
You say the near post space. Is that elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, the near post space is essentially level to the near post and slightly in front of that. There's a lot of teams will send out runners into that space to try to create a flick or a redirection or to draw you out of the space. For us, too many of the goals have been given up where we've conceded that space specifically on one side, and we haven't done a good job. And when that redirection happens, everybody that is in your zone becomes frozen because they don't know where the redirection is going and they can't be aggressive and attack the ball. We've got to make sure that we win and dominate that space. We've done it better on one side and not as good on the other side, and we need to do it better on both sides. And I think that's left the face of the goal vulnerable for us because then our zone players are on their heels and they're not attacking. And so we've got to improve that. There was a marking loss inside of that, which means our guys need to get back and sort their marks out quickly. They know who they're supposed to mark. They need to get on them and be responsible for those. So these little gaps and little things have punished us in these situations, and it has to get better. I thought after the first one we defended more of the other ones better, But the first one at the near post, we lose it, and then we lose the track of our guy at the back post. So, but that near post space is something we have to get better at. We have to defend it better.
That first ball was flicked on, or
yeah,
that come off somebody.
Yeah,
okay.
That was Ile. Ile, we had a player who was marking Ile who didn't track him out, but also near post space guys let him arrive. Then he gets a little redirection to the back post, and then the player who kind of circulates to the back post, which is a position that everybody sends a guy to. It's like the best position on corners to score goals. We lost track of the guy, and he's there to tap it in. So again, 2 assignments broken inside of that leads to a problem.
Health-wise, Martin,
Health-wise, yeah, everybody's good. Everybody's healthy. We're ready for everybody to be involved. Eric still has to finalize today, tomorrow, through the docs and the return to play stuff to make sure he's cleared. And Jalen's probably a week away, so we're starting to get more healthy, but everybody else we think will be healthy.
You probably don't want to use Jalen on turf.
No, he's not ready for this weekend. In an ideal world this weekend, he might get 20 or 30 minutes with G2. It's been a long time since he's played, just to, again, gain a rhythm and stuff. He's been training full and doing that stuff. So we'd love if he could, on grass here at home, or wherever they are, grass, wherever, get a few minutes. At least we'll get him back inside of the 11v11 game for a little competition. And if that all goes well, which we would anticipate, then he would be available for the following week to start getting involved with us.
Talk about being patient.
Yep.
Where's Ricky's role playing that?
He needs to be more patient. He's dropping down a lot, picking up the ball. When he picks up the ball, he's looking to try to obviously get our attack started, which sometimes means we're trying to play through the lines or trying to push the ball through spaces that has led to transitions that then come right back at us. So I think we have to be very, very weary of trying to play balls through the middle of the field. That's what everybody played for against us last year. It's what everybody is looking for, because those are surefire transition balls if you're going to force things through the middle and go. So he needs to be more patient. He needs to connect with everybody, and he needs to sometimes bring the wide guys into the game, and sometimes he just needs to stay high and be patient and let us get the ball to him versus coming down and trying to find the ball. And so it's finding that balance, because when he does drop and play and move and it all connects at the right speed, it's very dangerous for the opposition, very difficult to mark. You see Messi do that at times as well. But it's really about how much, and it's about when, and it's about when you do that, what's the risk that we're taking with that first pass that kind of gets going. So we've talked through it, we've looked at some of that, and it's just finding that balance of sometimes being more patient. When the spaces open up, it's there and you can get it and get us going. That's okay too at the right times, but it's for me, I would love to see him, and he knows, receive the ball behind the midfield line and in front of the back line more often, because I think he would be incredibly dangerous and difficult to manage for the opposition if they did that. Also, I think if the opposition would have to pull midfielders back to deal with him, which would give us more possession in front of the opposition and force them maybe back. But it all depends, again, when teams sit really deep, then it's trying to figure out where the spaces are to find him and where he feels like he can get the ball. So it becomes a little bit of a tricky game between being patient and us trying to get him the ball where he can do his damage.
Yep. Awesome. Thanks, Greg.
Yeah.